Welcome back to King's Speech. I am your host, the King of 161st Street. We got a lot of shit to talk about today. Let's get right into it because pitchers and catchers reported on Valentine's Day. Baseball is officially back. Games will start in a couple weeks, but there are a few updates on a few pitchers in the Yankees rotation. Starting with Marcus Stroman, who is quickly becoming a fan favorite even before he pitches a single game in pinstripes. He was doing media after his session. He was talking glowing things about Brian Cashman and his negotiations coming to New York.
Situation I didn't think I'd be in at all, you know what I mean? But it's a situation that has excited me more than anybody knows, you know? When Cashman calls and says he wants you to play for the Yankees, that's like, it gives you chills. When Aaron Judge calls you and tells you he wants you to play for the Yankees, it gives you chills, you know? When everyone reaches out and tells you that they want you to be a part of this organization, you know what I mean? That puts me, I'm getting chills right now. Like, I can't wait to go out there. Yeah, I really can't wait. It's hard for me to put into words, but I know I'm probably going to be slated third in the rotation, and that would line me up for the home opener against the Toronto Blue Jays. So I just love moments like that, and I feel like I'm the one to be in big moments like that, and I can't wait to feel the energy of the crowd.
This is the type of stuff we want to hear from Marcus Stroman, especially after the shit he said back in 2019. Now, I have a different perspective on those tweets back in 2019, but we'll get to that in a second. He also brings up relationship right now with Brian Cashman, and he was talking glowing things about Brian Cashman. These are great signs for a guy that we just signed, is just showing up to the team for the first time. He's really giving off a good first impression. I'm seeing a lot of fans turn and give him the support that they initially did not. And it's good to see him being from my neck of the woods out here in Long Island. It's good to see someone who is finally starting to get some respect, who's been around for a while. Said before, I have a different perspective on those tweets he put out back in 2019 when he was talking about, hey, you guys spend all this money, couldn't get a World Series since 2009, talking shit. I have a different perspective on that. I believe where he was trying to go with that. And look, you can say I'm trying to cherry pick all you want, but to me, it sounded more like he was saying, I could help, because the real root of that issue was Brian Cashman said he was insignificant. If I were Marcus Stroman, I would take offense to that as well. So he basically went on there to basically say, look, I could have helped you. I could have helped you get that first ring since 2009. Even though you've been spending all this money, you can't get there. Well, I could help you get there. Of course, he said it in a New York way. New Yorkers rub people the wrong way all the fucking time. People took it in a way where he was trying to mock the organization more than he was trying to say, I could help you. These words from Marcus Stroman are further proving my point of he's probably excited to be here, and hopefully he can pan out, because he's been one of the most consistently good pitchers in the league, staying at a level pace of around mid to high threes, around 1 whip. He has been very consistent, and that's exactly what you want out of a middle of the rotation starter, which Marcus Stroman actually is. Now, enough with Marcus Stroman. Let's get to a few other updates, starting with our big signing from 2023, Carlos Rodon. He came to camp early. He cut a bunch of weight. He looks good. Initial reports are saying he was staying within the mid-90s his entire session and clipped 97 miles an hour on his fastball. Last year, he was only around 90 to 92 to start spring training. This is a great sign, because for a guy who, yes, he will stay up in the zone a little bit at times, you need that extra velocity to sort of get it by a guy. Last year, he was getting shelled because he would try his old tricks. Let me just give you a quick fastball right up the middle and high, but they were at like 93, 94. In the major leagues, if you can't hit 93, 94, you shouldn't be there. For him to be in the high 90s at this moment is a great sign for a possible bounce back from Rodon. You're seeing Nestor. He looks good. He's getting some pitches in. He looks healthy. You have a few injury concerns from the pitchers and catchers. Jose Trevino is going to start spring training on the IL. Scott Efros had surgery that we didn't hear about. he's going to be out till the summer, and Lou Trevino signs a deal, and he's probably going to be out for a month. Hopefully we'll be back for the start of the regular season. Overall, this spring training will hopefully tell us, A, who our fifth starter is, because no matter what happens, if Chase Hampton goes on a streak, he can win that fifth spot. If Will Warren wants to, he can find a way to get that fifth slot if he plays extremely well. And then if neither of them play well, you got Clark Schmidt already slotted there. So we're going to be figuring out the back end of our rotation with this spring training, along with just seeing how players look. Do they look healthy or do they not? That's my biggest concern here. For the last 3 years, we've been dealing with injury after injury after injury. It's time we just see a team that's healthy. I don't care how they perform in spring training. Spring training does not count. At least for our main guys, I'm hoping to see consistent, healthy appearances. Anyways, with that out of the way, the main topic of this episode centers around Scott Boras. Scott Boras has basically built an empire of MLB players under his tutelage. He is a borderline monopoly in terms of MLB players that he has signed to him. At this moment, MLB teams are almost locking him out because of how overbearing his prices are for his players. And in some ways, he's locking his players out from the teams. He wants a certain deal for his players. The real question we have to answer here, is this good for baseball or is this bad? And I'm going to give you both sides of it. I'm going to give you the players and I'm going to give you the owners. I'm not really going to answer it here because I could see both sides. I want you to decide whether this is a good thing for baseball or a bad thing for baseball. And I have a feeling I know what your answer will be. To start this off, I want to talk about the teams. And by teams, I mean owners and fans, because that's really what's on the team side. Baseball is a team-oriented fan base. The most team-oriented fan base in all of sports in terms of America. Soccer's the same way overseas, but here in America, it's mostly just baseball as a team-oriented sport. Like, there's a bunch of players, like if Gio Urshela were to walk down the street, he could probably wear a hat and he probably wouldn't get recognized. A player like in the NBA, let's say, Cade Cunningham. A lot of you guys may not know who he is. He is the point guard for the Detroit Pistons. If he's walking down the street, people would know who he is. And that's sort of that same level of guy. So my point here to say that is, fans are always going to side with owners when it comes to these conversations, just based off of the fact that it's very team oriented. You don't see a lot of people coming to games and being like, I'm here to root for Aaron Judge and Aaron Judge only. That's different in the NBA. The NBA, you see there's LeBron fans, there's Kyrie fans. These fan bases are player oriented. In the NFL, you see a bunch of Patrick Mahomes fans, Travis Kelce fans. It's different when it comes to baseball. We are Yankees fans, Mets fans, Dodgers fans. It's not, I'm a Mike Trout fan and that's why I'm here. I'm an Aaron Judge fan. I'm a Ronald Acuna fan. That's not the way baseball is structured. So from the owner's perspective, this right here is hindering the game of baseball based off the fact these players that Scott Boras has, which are stars. He's got Cody Bellinger under his belt, Matt Chapman, Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery. 4 of the best free agents on the market are a part of Boras Corp. So the teams are sitting there saying, if we're going to sign your player, we want him available for spring training. You sort of blocking him from signing with a team for a reasonable deal is hindering his ability to get ramped up for the season. Because spring training is very important for someone's season. They need that month to sort of get things from off-season level, almost ready to ready. And when a player doesn't have a spring training, you could definitely on the field. They take a month to ramp up. It's because you need that month to get into regular season shape. The teams don't like the fact that Boras is pricing his players out until March. It hinders the game because we're coming off of one of the better seasons in terms of fan interest that we've had since the 90s. With the pitch clock, with everything that baseball has done to try and make the game more enjoyable, we saw numbers skyrocket. If these players do not play, those numbers might plummet because, again, that's quality baseball not being played. Instead of a Blake Snell in your rotation, you have a Clark Schmidt in your rotation, if we're putting it in Yankees terms. For the teams, they're looking at this and saying, he's bad for baseball because he is hindering these players' ability to perform. Now let's talk about Boras' side and the players' side. The reason why I brought up the fan base being very team-oriented was because Boras' side of things is he and every agent know that the Players Association is never going to have the fan base's side. The fan base will always be against agents, will always be against the players union, and will always be against the players. Mainly because we are team oriented. We want the Yankees to succeed. We don't specifically want Aaron Judge to succeed. We'd want Aaron Judge to succeed for the Yankees. So Boras knows in any labor negotiation he has, it's never going to be in his favor publicly. We saw that recently with 2020, when players wanted full prorated salaries, meaning they would get there. Let's say a player got $100 million and it's $10 million a year. Well, that's $10 million over 162 games. You would just cut that $10 million and give them what their price would be over a 60 game span. The owners wanted them to take a 40% pay cut on top of that. The owners got the better of it. There were a lot of media people on the player side. But if you talk to fans, they will say, how could they not just go out there? They're playing a sport for money. They should be happy with anything. That's the main mindset about baseball fans when it comes to player union. So Boras knows he cannot wait until labor negotiations get his players what they deserve. So he tries to set precedents during a CBA time. That's where this is coming from. He's trying to set a precedent of what players cost. He and the players union does not have to deal with it 2025, 2026. Whenever the CBA, he is going to fight for his players and get his players the best deal possible. And that means shooting to the moon with some of his prices. Blake Snell wants $270 million. And that is a little ridiculous, but if you actually think about it, a player who hasn't pitched a single pitch in Major League Baseball just got 330. If we're talking about it from the Yankees' point of view, they just offered $300 million. He hasn't pitched a single pitch in the MLB. Blake Snell has won 2 Cy Youngs. Now, the issue with his pricing is the fact that he's 31 and he wants a long-term deal. And he's going to be getting paid probably around 30 to 40 million at that point once he's 37, 38, 39. Teams don't like paying players into their late 30s. You see how the Albert Pujols deal, the Miguel Cabrera deal. These deals shitstorms because of their age. So you don't want to pay Blake Snell that type of money. But Boras is going to try anything he can to set a precedent because he cannot wait until labor negotiations come. And he's saying we need to protect these older players a little more, because no one will be on his side publicly. Fans will be against him. Owners are always against him. Maybe media will try and be on his side, but there will be a lot of media against that. So he's between a rock and a hard place in terms of how he helps his players. And this is how he's decided to go. And how this could help the league, even though we are very team oriented. The players is what makes the product. If the players aren't happy, the fans won't either. Even though they tell you a different thing, if the players aren't happy and the players don't play, fan base plummets. Because now instead of having Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Alex Verdugo in an outfield, you're going to have insert minor league player, insert minor league player, insert minor league player. If these players go on strike, if these players aren't happy, you're basically diluting your product. I remember when the Red Sox owner tried to come out and say, the players don't make the team. I do. Like, fans will watch either way. And that's just not true when it comes to entertainment and sports in general. You need an Aaron Judge to help your game grow. You need a Mookie Betts, a Ronald Acuna. If you don't have these guys, if there's guys that don't have that type of talent, your sport will die. Insert the WNBA. The WNBA doesn't have the same level of player that an NBA does. So yeah, their league is plummeting. They don't make a profit. That's what I'm talking about here. So for Boras to be able to do this, it helps the league because it keeps the players happy. And when the players are happy, they play the game of baseball. And that's all we all want, is to watch these guys play baseball. We want to watch them play baseball for our favorite team and hopefully help us win a championship. So Boras, in some ways, will help Major League Baseball in thriving. If you build more stars, something Major League Baseball lacks in, he is a guy who helps in terms of getting these guys paid. And I would hope that sooner or later, Boras would help getting these players in front of cameras, getting a Cody Bellinger to go into interviews on like Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon, whatever. You get these guys in front of cameras and you have them tell their story, have them show their personality, do something to get a wider fan base interested. But none of that happens if the players decide not to play. And they have every right to if they decide to strike. But on the flip side, they don't sign up until March. It hinders the players' ability to get ready for the regular season. And how that hurts the team is now the players using some regular season time to ramp into shape. That is never a good thing when it comes to team success. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys. What do you guys think? Do you think Boras is right by holding these teams hostage from these players? Do you think the teams are right in kind of blocking those players out in order to have their prices come down? Let me know down below. Hopefully you enjoyed. Sorry this is on a random day. It was my birthday yesterday. I've been kind of taking a couple days off. I posted a video the other day. Hopefully you check that out, but I'm out of here. Leave a like down below. Subscribe if you're new. I'm out of here. Take care and peace.